Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching, whatever time you're listening. Welcome to Your Onion podcast. I have a special guest today. His name is Ahmed Hafez. He's the head of Thomson Reuters. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Stefan.
Good morning. Like all my podcasts, I like to get a kind of a look into your background. So could you give us like an insight into
Sure.
where you're from and here in Qatar?
Sure. Thank you for having me. It's really a great pleasure. And before I start, I have to commend you and your team on the level of creativity you're bringing here to the communication and marketing community.
Thank you.
My name is Ahmed Hafez. I manage Thomson Reuters financial and risk business here in Qatar. It's now called Refinitiv. I carry over 20 years of experience in the financial communication in Kuwait, where I spent over 15 years, then in Canada for almost 10 years, and then now in Qatar for the last 5 years. And it's really interesting time to be here with all the changes and things around you, geopolitics, business, everything is changing. So it's exciting time. So I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it. It's exciting times.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it is changing and it's moving at a fast pace.
Very much so. Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
So just go further back. I'm always curious about education. What did you study at university?
So believe it or not, though I spent like over 15 years in banking, but I carry a degree in English literature.
Oh, really?
This is where my passion is.
Yeah.
Until now, I love novels. I love history. So it's where my passion is. And I can't really remember now where was the triggering point. How did I move from? I started my career as an interpreter.
Oh, really?
And a translator, a professional translator and interpreter. And the first job I had in my life was an interpreter with the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. So I spent 4 years as a professional interpreter and translator at the embassy.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how I moved to the banking industry, really. And then from this into communication, I started, establish the corporate communication of one of the leading banks in Kuwait. And then for 15 years or so, I've been in this business until it came the point where I need a fresh start. So it was a family decision that we moved to Canada with the whole family. My kids were growing, so let's start a new, a fresh start. So we all moved to Canada. Where I also worked as an accredited court interpreter there in Canada, and then I joined also the financial communication business. And then, again, another opportunity to come back to Qatar. My family is still in Canada, though, so I keep going on, back and forth. And this is what's really, being a global citizen, gives you this opportunity to move around, learn a lot of skills, start fresh starts every now and then. And I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. So, and this is what I try to tell my kids as well. I mean, it's not important what you get, but as long as you love what you do and you have passion to what you do every day, this is the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love what you say about being a global citizen.
Yeah,
because
we are global citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like your journey seems to be like an organic journey that, there wasn't anything really planned, was there? Just kind of fell into, one thing fell into place after the other.
To a certain extent, you need to create this balance. You need to plan, of course, to build a strategy mid and long term. But again, certain opportunities would come up and pop up in your life that you should not say, and you can switch and shift, gears at one point.
Yeah.
Of course, you need to plan, that's very important in your life. But again, when an opportunity comes and you feel this is the right thing, I remember, to your point, I was having a very good career as an interpreter with the U.S. Embassy, and even the job I got at the bank at that time was not, people would look at it as a downgrade, for instance.
Yeah.
But I thought, I had that feeling that, this will give me more freedom and will really, empower me to do more. So So you need to listen to yourself at some point, and switch gears whenever you think it's the right time to do so.
That gut kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's what I've done in the past. It's never been for more money. It's more about what the position is going to hold for me and what opportunities.
Right.
And it's an interesting journey.
Very much so. And when we moved to Canada, of course, it was a different culture. And, I really liked it because I saw everyone there doing this. I mean, you can, after 20 years in a certain career and getting all this experience, you can just have a new start and build a new business or get into a new thing.
Yeah.
And again, being a global citizen, it exposes you to lots of experiences and challenges and things. You should, and the world is changing around us. I mean, even in the media business, I'm sure it's changing. So you need to be on your toes.
Yeah,
as I said.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So coming back here to Qatar, was that an opportunity given to you? Was that a new position? Was Thomson Reuters already established here?
I know Qatar from Kuwait time. When I was in Kuwait, Qatar was on my mandate. So I came to know. I used to come here every now and then. But when I went to Canada and then started a relationship with Thomson Reuters at that time, there was an opportunity to grow here in the market.
Yeah.
So I decided, this is a really good challenge, and I've been following Qatar for some time, and I thought this might be the right time to come here and see how things are, and I think I was right, because when I came here, you can see the activities and the growth and the business environment here. So I really enjoy, and then I made the decision to make the move. The bad part of this is that it was hard for my family to move for me.
Well, I was going to say, did they move with you initially? Or?
No, they didn't.
So,
my kids were so much involved in schools and universities and
So that must have been hard for you.
It is actually, because I have to travel more often now to back to Toronto and here. So, but again, this is where you can get more experience and also get more exposure. So I moved to Qatar and worked with Thomson Reuters here and saw the growth of the company, the country, and since then lots of things are happening, lots of changes.
So they were already here.
Yes, Thomson Reuters was established here in Qatar in 2010.
Okay.
Under QFC.
Yeah.
And since then has been doing business and growing in the market. And I'm sure maybe I told you last year, Thomson Reuters financial and risk business was acquired by Blackstone, so it's now Refinitiv.
Okay.
So Refinitiv now is the financial and risk business of Thomson Reuters, and we try to look at Refinitiv as a startup of $6 billion now. So
that's not bad.
Which is a great actually, because it's a fresh start. It's a new brand in the market.
Yeah.
So you need to meet people and introduce the new brand and work around. So it's exciting, and it's bringing change to what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, because I only knew of Thomson Reuters from the broadcast side of things, where they used to, or they probably still do, send you feeds of news from all over the world.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had so much else going on.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the image that most people know about Thomson Reuters, because the news is more interesting.
Yeah.
We break news. We're the brand is so powerful in that, but it's a small part of what the big Thomson Reuters used to do. So. But again, now the Reuters News is the main brand, and then they have under Thomson Reuters the legal and tax business, and then now Refinitiv handling all the financial and risk solutions. So basically providing entities, government or corporates, with financial technologies and solutions that they need to do their business, in addition to the risk screening and due diligence solutions also that they need.
Okay.
So this is now Refinitiv, what we do here.
And did it help that you've already, you came from the banking side of things, setting up Refinitiv? Did that help?
Of course, yeah, because you're from the kitchen, you know exactly the importance of these solutions. You know exactly the importance of knowledge and data in what you do. So it's all about data and knowledge.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what our solutions are providing to our customers: the data and information they need to make the right decisions. It's not only that you have the information, but the good thing is we try them to get the knowledge that can help them to really make the right decision.
Right decision in what? Come on, just give me
right decision
in layman's terms.
It can be different things. So it can be as much as the right decision in making a deal, for instance, in making a transaction. And when you do a business deal, for instance, and you want to do the KYC, know your customer, or screening or due diligence before you start a business relationship. Yeah. So you need information, you need data, and you need insights.
So what data are you pulling? What kind of information are you?
So for instance, here we get all the market data from the stock exchange, from the companies itself, from analysis, from economic reports, macroeconomic data about companies. So if you are an investor and you want to invest in Qatar, for instance, you need to get some insights on macroeconomics, on the business environment, on regulations, on all data that will help you to make the right decision. Is it the right place to make an investment, to invest, to go to and expand? You need data to do that. You can get data everywhere, by the way, but it's the quality of the data that you get. So how trusted is this data? And this is what we're known for: the trusted data, the focused data, the reliable and credible data that you can depend on in making this decision.
Okay, but it's not only for investors coming into the country. Do you give data for the rest of the world as well? So if there's any investors that are here that want to look into buying.
Yes, similarly, I'm just giving you an example about here, but also in the stock market, for instance, you have, when you want to invest in a stock, for instance, or buy stocks, or you need to know the fundamentals of this company and of this data. You need to get access to their financials, the history of their board and activities. So you can get all. This world is full of information.
Oh, absolutely.
And on our flagship product is called Icon, for instance. Okay. And Icon is basically opening the door to you for an ocean of information. But again, if you need to dig in deep into what exactly you want, that will help you to make the right decision in the business you are in, whatever business you are in, or whatever level of management or decision making you are in.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have a team here that literally finding out that data, using the computers to?
We have teams everywhere. We have international, of course, and we have analysts, researchers, specialists, advisors everywhere in the world. So, and the beauty about it is that we all work in harmony. So wherever you are, you still can support any business. But the interesting thing or part about Qatar is that we have expanded, heavily in the last few years, especially last year. So, we started we moved from a 1 or 2 office operation to now more than 8. So it's growing in a very short time. And our clients appreciate that, actually, because we're closer to them, we're more engaged and committed to what they do, and the pace of response and interaction is much higher. And 7 nationalities in the office, different diversity, and so being able to interact more and being closer to our clients is something I'm sure most clients appreciate. And in addition to that, of course, with the geopolitical situation here, that also made a lot of sense. Now you're more local, you're on the ground. You can, of course, because we're international, you can get support from anywhere you are. Yeah. But you still have the strong local base that can really serve your clients. Yeah.
No, for sure. And what is your position when it comes to, you know, what is happening in the region? Because it's always changing. So, you know, you have to keep on. It keeps you on your toes. I can.
Yeah, it's
imagine.
it's. I'm sure everyone knows it's fluid. You know, things are changing rapidly and can change rapidly. You know, just today, it's happening actually now. Qatar strategic dialogue, for instance, happening today, and of course, most of these issues are on the agenda. So things are changing, quite fast.
Yeah.
And you need to be following up things and being able to adapt to this change. But as far as Qatar is concerned, I think Qatar has been doing very well. I mean, all the data, the reports, and the advisory notes that we get are positive on Qatar, especially for 2019. There were a lot of fears and concerns that there might be some drop or negative result. But actually, the economy showed a lot of resilience and has done very well recently. And you can see it. You can see it on the number of projects that are happening. They didn't stop. They're continuing. You can see in the infrastructure around you. I'm sure you see it every
all the time,
day.
absolutely.
The preparations and readiness for the World Cup 2022 is going fast.
Yeah.
Even I think last month the Minister of Finance mentioned or noted a forecast to achieve fiscal surplus in 2019, which is really a very positive sign. The IMF, the World Bank, remarks are positive. So all of this gives you, this is information that you need to build your forecast, and this gives you that the economy is doing well. And this reflects on your business strategy as well and your plan to work in the country. So I think Qatar has done well from an economic and financial point of view. But again, it's also a wait and see thing, because I think we're in a stage where things will stay. Status quo will stay for a long time. It doesn't seem that there is any solution or drastic change that is happening soon on the geopolitical scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't see. Well, I haven't heard anything, but But the way Qatar has been over the last couple of years, they must be in a strong position, because the way they've held themselves and the way they've dealt with the situation that's happened. For me, it's very commendable and must be very attractive for potential investors.
Right.
The way they've held themselves and the way they've gone about doing business.
Right.
And do you see that? Do you see that with inquiries?
And this is exactly what we feel. And again, as I mentioned, the U.S.-Qatar strategic dialogue, for instance, they are bringing a very big business delegation representing the very big, top U.S. businesses to come to Qatar, look at what's happening here, listen and interact with the Qatari counterparts, and this is a message that there are businesses here. Let's do more.
Yeah.
And similarly, I'm sure I sit also on the Canadian Business Council here in Qatar, and this is similarly what we're trying to do with the Canadian Business Council. We're trying to also build this connection and open doors for both parties, Canadian businesses and Qatari business, to interact and try to do more. Of course, it's a different level because of the history of relationships, but I think it's on the right track. So there is interest.
Yeah. And do you advise your clients about because there's free zones will be popping up, which must be attractive for potential investors as well.
Right.
So you must be involved on that side of things as well when it comes.
Yeah, and we try to give all the information and details to our clients and to anyone who is interested. Whether either on the business council or elsewhere. So as you said, the free zones, the Manatik, the QFC, which represent a very good platform to do business here in Qatar, and we are a QFC company as well, so we know how it goes. So there are the country is working hard to attract investments and FDIs, and to show everyone that it's the right place to happen. And I think you might have also noticed that QFC strategy now is to trying to open the market or to be a financial hub for different markets.
Absolutely.
You know, like looking at Turkey, Asia, and other countries here. So I think they are proposing it's the right proposition for such interested investors to look at to do business.
Yeah.
To do business
And did you
here.
see a change? Because you've been here 5 years. Did you say 5 years? Have you seen a change where the country has been more proactive in trying to get investment in? Where before, it was a country that was, it had oil and gas, so it was just like, why do we need investment to come in? We've got enough. But have you seen a change since the oil and gas prices kind of dropped? And
I think a big change has happened since last year, and not only the changes, but the pace of doing things has changed. Being proactive on one end, but also being open and getting the right regulations and messages in a very short time to cope with this.
Yeah.
So it usually happens when you're under pressure. You're more proactive.
Yeah.
And I think this is what happened. I mean, the amount and quality of regulations that took place in the last year would have taken much longer.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
things are different. And I think there will be more to come. I understand there is more in the pipeline. But I think this is the right message.
Absolutely,
this is
it's
how
very
you
positive.
make a difference.
Yes,
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah, because any market is competitive, and the pace of change is so rapid, and you need to be ready to seize these opportunities.
Yeah, no, for sure,
before
absolutely.
others. Yeah.
So looking forward, where do you see yourselves in 5 years' time?
This is a very interesting question.
Are you going to be here for the World Cup?
And I discussed this with my family when I was in Toronto for the New Year.
Yeah.
I wish I would be here for the World Cup. If not, then I will be in Toronto in 2026. World Cup will happen part of it will happen in Toronto.
Yes, that's right. It's America.
It's US, Mexico, and
that's right.
I don't know with the wall or without the wall, but it will happen. it will happen between the three countries.
Yeah.
So I wish I would love to be here and bring my family to witness this and to take part professionally and personally into this. This is an event, not only an event for Qatar. To be honest, it's an event for anyone who lives in this region, whether Arab or non-Arab.
Yeah.
To witness this and to contribute and to volunteer. One of the things I really liked about Canada is volunteering. So when I used to be there, I used to spend most likely 20% of my time on volunteering. And
really?
Not only me, but everyone. Volunteering is a beautiful thing of Canada. I think it's one of the most beautiful things I learned and culturally I got in Canada is to volunteer.
Yeah.
So I volunteered in the Pan Am Games in Toronto that year and many other big events. And it was really, a great feeling to contribute and to
So what did you do? What did you?
I was in charge of the soccer team or football teams during the Pan Am.
No, really?
Yeah, of their training, getting them into the bus. I took a week off and I spent most of the time there, and I loved it.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking as well. Coming up to the World Cup, because they reached out for volunteers, and I just thought
because for such huge international events like this, you cannot recruit everyone.
No.
I mean, it's a big business, and you need a lot of volunteers.
Yeah.
And I think the Supreme Committee is opening the volunteering door for people from all over the world to come and help.
Yeah.
And this is what, of course, Canada is more diversified, so you can see lots of people from different, languages, backgrounds. And here as well, I think they can attract lots of people, and I think they reached thousands of people, interested in volunteering. And this is what I want to be here, and I want my kids even to participate and volunteer in it. They are already volunteering back home, so I want them to do. So yes, I love to be there, but who knows where opportunities would come.
No,
but,
exactly.
But again, from a professional and personal point of view, I'm very positive about Qatar going forward, whether for the World Cup or on other levels.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be interested and glad to participate in this journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.
Time is up.
Stefan.
I appreciate you coming in.
Can I? This is a small token of appreciation to you. This is a book of the most beautiful pictures taken by Reuters News on emerging empowerment and women empowerment. So we'd love to give you this to you and your team. And it was really a great pleasure talking to you.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, all the best. And thank you for listening and watching this podcast. And we'll catch up with you next week. Goodbye.